Today's video, we're going to talk about demand gen campaigns, Google Ads' newest campaign form or type, and why these campaigns can work but will not work unless you know a few key facts that I'm going to share with you on today's video. I've ran several of these campaigns now. The short of it is they're just like the discovery campaigns that were around. Google changed the discovery campaigns to these demand gen campaigns, and they have a little bit different functionality. The ad creative is a little bit different. You can target what are called similar audiences, or similar segments, or I still got it wrong. Lookalike segments, sorry. The lookalike segments, you get people that are looking like your customers or a certain group of people that have been to your site before, and that's different about them as well. But with that said, all this is totally useless information to you unless you know how to use it and deploy it to make money. That's what this video here is about. This is what all of my videos are about on my channel here. There's all kinds of content on YouTube that's, oh look, Google just had this button. It's supposed to do this. Ha ha ha. Useless. I don't do that on my channels. So you're going to walk away from this video with the information you need to use these campaigns to start making money, given it's coming from somebody who just does ad strategy with Google ads and Facebook ads and so forth. All day long is my sole job, just the strategy. So with that said, as I mentioned, for the most part, so the demand gen campaigns replace discovery campaigns. They're basically the same thing. The discovery campaigns did work, as does the demand gen campaigns, assuming you know the same key facts here. And they're still running on the same properties, namely, get your ads running on Gmail and ads running on YouTube. Now, I've talked about on other videos before, the reason why these campaigns work is because they're on Google's properties. So you're buying ads from Google to run on Google, essentially. Even though it's not Google search, but it's YouTube owned by Google, or it's Gmail ran by Google. And this is important because Google has a much better handle on policing their platforms and understanding what traffic is real traffic and not real traffic, so they can weed it out. Because if you were to run ads on other websites, which you can do obviously through Google Display Network campaigns, a lot of that traffic is bot traffic, and they don't know how to weed it out because it's not their properties. So if you're going to run ads outside of search engines, because at some point you can only scale your business so far on this, running search ads on Google, as well as on Microsoft/Bing, you got to figure out how to run display advertising for your business. Of course, going to give you the crash course in that. But when you start out doing that, it only makes sense to advertise on Facebook and or through these demand gen campaigns and or just YouTube campaigns by themselves, because it's the same idea both ways. Facebook, Google, they have an idea of what traffic's bot traffic, which is not. You spend most of your money on non-bot traffic as a result of that. Not none, but way less. And therefore it's way easier to get working. I'd still recommend going with YouTube ads first before, by the way, demand gen campaigns, because you can communicate so much in a video you can't do with the demand gen ad, even though there's videos there now. But with that said, I realize it's hard for the average Joe to make a video ad that converts. I have a video you can watch on this channel about how to make a video campaign that a script for a video ad that always works. But coming out with creative with the demand gen campaigns is easier, but it's still going to take considerable work, because you still got to understand what to say on the ad, and you got to understand what to say once you've got them to click on the ad. Doing these demand gen campaigns, assuming you're not targeting like remarketing traffic that already knows about you already, you're going to need a good offer for the most part, and you're going to need a good landing page to send them to, or video to send them to. Once in a while from these demand gen campaigns, like I'll group the discovery campaigns in with this, because they're basically the same thing. we would just send the traffic when you click on the discovery campaigns directly to a YouTube video. Why? Because it sells better than sending them to a landing page that may have some video on it. It's just because people like watching video more. This works in some areas better than others. We would do that when we were selling tools and hardware. We do it for our own agency as well. So, and it varies a little bit by market. With maybe sending them to a video ad on YouTube, or a video on YouTube is better. Sometimes sending them to a landing page is better. You can test both. Sending them to a video itself is easier, assuming that you know how to make videos. You don't have to have a whole landing page at that point. Anyway, so you got to have a good offer. You got to have a good landing page or video to send them to that works. When I say a good offer, what most amateurs try to do when they are trying to run ads outside of the search engines is they just do what they did on the search engines. If they're a web design company, they'll say web design, and then they expect people to see that ad, even though they might be in market for a website. They expect them to just click on that ad and go to their site, and that's not going to do anything. You're just wasting your money. Don't do that. It's just like, you got to give people, if you're going to interrupt their day, you got to give them something that they're interested in. Just like if you were to walk up to somebody on the street and you said, web design, web design, web design, like nobody's, people are going to think you're crazy and they're going to get annoyed. You got to come at them with something before designing a website. You must know this information. Then you can get people thinking, okay, I am in market for a website. I will check that out. So that stuff only works if they're ready to buy now, and I mean literally right now. They're on Google. If you're not, you have to think of a clever way to go about doing things. For a product, yes, you could just show the product there. That does defy what I just said. But at least with the product, if the product looks interesting and you're in market for a product like that, you'll click on it because it looks interesting in and itself. Just saying I offer XYZ service, that's not interesting enough. So what can you do that will really capture people's attention? And then send them to a page that's going to follow up on that promise. Not sending them to your home page or just sending them to your product page on your site, because it's too much of a disconnect. You come up with a unique thing to get their attention, and then you give them that on wherever you're taking them to, video or landing page. So if you're doing websites in that example, 5 things to know before you buy or get a new website designed. You take them to a page that has an ebook on there, and you try to get them to download the ebook, and then because the reason why people don't do this is they say, well, I want a sale. I don't want them to read a damn ebook. And they don't know how to put sales teams together, so it wouldn't work anyway. But you got to be able to get them to download the ebook, and then you have to have a whole system behind that in order to turn that respect that you've just earned with the person into an actual sale. And you have to do it in steps. For the most part, you get them to read the ebook. I would just call them right away and say, hey, I noticed you read my ebook. Would you be open to a quick conversation about what you're doing? And then give them more education. And then only after that you can pitch the sale. You get what I'm saying here? If you're selling a product like a toolbox, or something like that, you don't have to necessarily go information only. You could just send them to a video that demonstrates your product, or send them to a long form landing page or sales page that goes through why that product is specifically superior to other products in the market that they might be considering. And that's the way to go. But in either case, you got to come to them with something that's spicy, that's juicy to click on, and you got to take them to information to educate them and help them out. What do they want help out with? Do they want to know what are the pitfalls in your market? Do they want to know why your product is actually superior? Are you educating them what are the things that are important when you are going to buy a toolbox? And if you don't do what I'm telling you to do here, you're just not going to get it to work, because ultimately everything comes down to this outside running search engine ads. And even with search engine ads, it's the same principle. You're paying every time your ad shows. Yes, Google technically charges you per click, but if you get a low click-through rate on your ad, you're paying more per click. So effectively, you're paying for every time your ad shows up, it costs you money. So part of the job you have is to make sure your ad only shows up for people that are good prospects. So you don't waste your time having your ad show up for anybody who's not a good prospect. But then on top of that, of the people that are actually good prospects, what do they want to hear that if they saw it, they would right away be interested? So that you pull the maximum amount of attention and demand away from the person that you want to start to get their attention. Because once you start to get their attention, you can then use that attention to then parlay that into getting them to follow through on a little bit more of a commitment of time, and a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Realistically, you get them to a landing page, they should be interested a little bit, and then as they go down your page, if you're doing it that way, they're more interested as they go down the page. By the time they get to the end of the page, they say, that was really good. And then so when you say, see this other thing, they're actually apt to click on it because you delivered really good value to them up front. So anyway, long story short, it's hard to get things to work, and with that, you can't expect sales to occur right away. If somebody's in market for a toolbox, going back to that, you can't expect them to buy right away, even if you did educate them really well. They're going to buy on their own schedule, but if you get in front of every single person in your market who's about to buy a toolbox like yours, you're going to get tons more sales in the future because every single person now knows of your product, why it's better. So your sales only have one way to go. Of course, a few people are going to click through and buy, but what I like to do in those situations is try to figure out how many people clicked through my ad and then basically got through the sales page and then went to check out my product page. If they did that, even though they didn't buy, I already know my system works. If they got that far into my process, so to say, I know if I watch my sales 6 months from now after I've run this campaign for a long time, then my sales are going to go up proportionally. And more so with that, I'm going to look at, did my total sales at my company go up in proportion with what I'm spending in addition to my ad budget now? So if I throw it $3,000 a month at this demand gen campaign, did my sales go up $10,000 a month at least? And you use that as the main benchmark to know if your campaigns work, because very few people are going to click. They're not going to be just sitting there on YouTube, see your ad, click, immediately buy. That's just not how things work. And that's where most people also get caught up. They're not going to come with something interesting. They don't know how to target real buyers, so they're not going to have a bunch of waste circulation of their ad. And they don't understand that people don't buy right away. But you get in front of people who are interested and have the potential to buy, so that when they do go buy, they buy from you a higher percentage of the time, much higher. Anyway, with all that said, in terms of these demand gen campaigns, there's a certain order of things that normally are going to work with the highest ROI. And I'm going to start there first. And that is always going to be, in terms of the targeting here, targeting the people that have been to your site before. If you have not done a real good job with your remarketing, you have no business targeting new prospects. And when I say a really good job, I mean not just having one ad show up for somebody after they've been to the site. No. You should have 10, 20 pieces of content that shows up for a person after they've been to your site. Demand gen campaigns just being one. You want them to see everything that kind of contributes to people wanting to buy from you. Your warranty, your customer reviews, your customer testimonials, your ratings on Google, your awards that you've won, the differentiation between your product or service and the competition's product or service. And you educate that person through your remarketing. You're going to do that through YouTube ads, you're going to do that through display network ads, and you're going to do it through demand gen campaigns here. And why? Because the magic formula that I use time and time again for the companies I run is just simply find the person on Google who's in market for what I'm selling, to get them to my site, and then remarket the hell out of them. So that my voice is the loudest and they end up with me a much higher percentage of the time than they would otherwise. That is a recipe for success always, essentially. So anyway, with that said though, you'll eventually run out of prospects, and you can't grow your sales anymore off of just that. You got to find prospects as they're on the web, because some people aren't going to make a Google search for what you sell, or when they make a Google search, they're not going to click on your ad, right? You still want more people that are going to be buying from your market or would buy, but you can't get them through search ads. So what do? The next thing you're going to do, as per what, if you're using demand gen campaigns to do it, is going to be targeting competitor searches / site visits. So you can create a custom segment as an audience inside your Google account and target people that screwed up here slightly, that have searched for one of your direct competitors' products or services, so that your demand gen campaigns and related ads can show up for the people who search for those competitors. You can also target people who have visited your competitors' sites. Now, that one in itself doesn't work quite as good as people who have searched for your competitors' brand name or product names on Google, because it's less precise. It doesn't actually target people who only visited their site. It's that plus a little bit of extra stuff, as per what they even admit in their literature. But for the most part, it's people that have went to your competitors' sites, if you list a competitor site as what you want to have as your custom segment. And you set that up as, it's called a custom intent audience. Ultimately, you could set those up and then you could target those, and that works really well. Because obviously, if they've been your competitor's page, they're qualified. It's just a matter of who they're going to buy from, you or the competitor, or somebody else in your market. So, and of course, if you're going to target people who have typed in a competitor's brand name of some sort, the product name is quite a bit better. So if you're struggling to get an ROI, I would start with just people typing in the product name itself, because that person's more qualified than somebody who just types in the brand name and more specific, right? So that I'm going to do that second in the order of things that gets the best ROI. I'm going to start with the stuff that gets the best ROI first, so I'm guaranteed to not run out of money. I want to use the money from the high ROI stuff, even though it doesn't have as much volume potential, to finance the next thing. And at a certain point, you'll get stuck. You can't get the ROI you want, and then you'll just know you can't go any further. But anyway, once you've got that, you take your money and reinvest into lookalike segments, which, as I mentioned before, that's something that Google has now that discovery campaigns didn't have before, and in which you can't do with YouTube or display campaigns, which is why you certainly want to run these if you're going to try to find people that are never heard of you before. Now with those, you're going to want to start with the people who are on your customer list. If you have a customer list of at least 10,000, it'll work great. Now, Google's only going to say you only have to have 1,000 customer list to do a lookalike segment, but we found that it doesn't really work the best. You're a lot better off if you have customers 10,000 or more. We had a ladies' clothing brand who did this, worked extremely well, but why? Because they had tens of thousands of customers to use as our seed list, as they call it. And so the more data you have, the more understanding of the type of customers that are your unique customers. So you can try it if you have 1,000 customers, but just know it's probably going to be tough to make it work, whereas the more customers you have, the more likely it's going to work. And if you don't have 10,000 customers, maybe you target cart visitors, if you're doing products, of course. But if you could target cart visitors, where you've had 10,000 cart visitors, which with Google you could target people up to 540 days from the time they visit your site. So you could have an audience set up to target all cart visitors in the last 540 days, and then that could be a list of 10,000. And if you did that, that in and itself should work pretty good. Of course, that cart visitor audience will work better if it's just the last 180 days or 30 days, but if I'd rather have 540 days be my audience length and have a list of 10,000 than the last 30 days and only have a list of 1,000, if you will. So that should be profitable, okay, in and itself. Once I've extracted all the profit from those two things, if I can do it, then I'm going to do the Google buyer searches. So people for the women's clothing brand, I'm going to type in people typing in plus size clothing for women, summer women's clothing outfits for sale. Stuff where it's obvious that what they're typing in is to buy something from Google or on Google that I sell. Take all those terms, or if you've been running search ads already, go into your search terms report, pull out all the terms that led to a conversion, and then create a custom audience that targets all the people who made those specific searches in the recent past. You can do that as well. Then you're only showing up for people that are in market, if you will. So those are the main 4 to 5 ways that I'm going to target my demand gen ads that are going to make money most of the time. 80% of the time, this is going to make money for people right here. Once you get past this, you could go out broader But these are the main things that are going to make you money. People that are already in market for what you have, some way or somehow. Once you start getting into trying to convincing people who are not in market for what you have, unless you have something really exciting, it's tough to get an ROI. Maybe you can do it, maybe you won't. If you do have something amazing, you can certainly get that to work. Anytime where you can make people money or save people money in a big way, you can usually go out there and target the masses, and you can get that to work. But, you know, I'd say 4 out of 5 companies that we're not able to do that at all. It's just what I'm talking about here. So to wrap all, to pull all this together, you're targeting people basically that are in market for what you sell. And the more engagement they've had with your brand before, the more likely they are to convert up to, and with that, but as long as they're in market for what you sell and they have had no engagement with you, you should be able to make some sales from that as well. And you're going to set up separate audiences, or excuse me, separate ad groups to target each one of these separately, because they're all going to perform very much differently than one another. And then with what you share with them, excluding remarketing, because with remarketing, what you tell them is going to be different than what you're going to tell somebody who doesn't know about you. That's where you're going to show your customer testimonials, your Google reviews, your awards, that type of thing, because they already know who you are, and now you're just trying to close the deal with them. For the people that have not seen or heard about you before, specifically, then what you want to do there, more so, is give them something that where they can get familiar with your brand, and then hit them with the rest of your remarketing ads, why you're the best, why it's such a good deal, so on and so forth. Technically, if they've been to your site before, you can actually focus on, having an ebook that they download, and that can be the way to go. It just depends. Personally, like once they've already been to my site, I'll actually focus on testimonials, reviews, all that stuff. And then I'll also throw in there something in case they forgot about us or just weren't very engaged when they first got to our site, something that will get them more engaged. Give them that ebook, or give them the sizzle video that shows our new product and how it works, and the demonstration of that product and so forth. Because people are at different kind of levels of awareness of your company, even though they've been to your site and got your cart, maybe they forgot about you. And if you just have testimonials and that kind of stuff, you're not going to get the same opportunities to max out your sales using demand gen ads as you would otherwise if you had a little bit of both. So anyway, that's the basic system that you need to know about to get demand gen ads to work for your company. So it is very much similar to discovery campaigns. The way that it works basically just as well, or even better if you have the customer list to run the lookalike segments, as I talked about. But even if you don't do that, it works just as good. So, but main differentiator being one, because anybody can do what I'm talking about here and target these audiences. It's up to you to know what your market finds interesting and to come up with an ad that pitches it and a page that delivers on it. If you can do that in an interesting way, you can get demand gen ads to generate new, like what they're supposed to be for in the first place, which is to generate new demand for your products or services when they, while they're just on YouTube trying to kill time, or on Gmail just doing work or whatever. So think about what people want and then try to focus on giving them that. With that said, I'll wrap it up with that though. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you would give the video a like and consider subscribing to this channel, as I have a ton of other content on this channel that'll tell you how to make money with your ads, coming from somebody who's been doing ads online for 20 years now. Furthermore, I also have a blog at GaryTPPC.com/blog, also a column that I write over at entrepreneur.com. The content I share is better than all the content I promise you could find on YouTube and online, because it doesn't come from somebody who just sells courses and the like. I'm doing ad strategy for clients all day long, and I'm not a full-time YouTuber. With that said, if you have any questions about anything I covered, you can feel free to leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days. Any ad-related questions, fine. I'd love to give back to my viewers and my channel as just help kind of, giving back for helping our channel grow. Beyond that, if you are looking for an ad agency to get you guaranteed results on your campaign, that's what we specialize in at our own agency here. where we can raise your sales without raising your ad spend and do so without taking a fee up front as a way to develop a relationship with your company. If you want to see if we can do that together, you just simply have to reach out at guaranteedppc.com. I'd be more than happy to look over what you have and see if there's some synergy there where we can work together and we know we can get results on your campaigns. With that said, if you don't want to work with an ad agency per se, but you're looking for get good results and shortcut your way to success, with that, if we've worked in your market before, you should take us up on the campaign templates we sell. As long as you're in not direct competition with our clients geographically, we could take all the ads, all the landing pages, everything that works great in your market and just give them to you for a one-time fee. You copy and paste those into your ad accounts, you'll get the same kind of results we are. So, and with that, you're going to, for what we charge, it's nothing compared to what you're going to be getting in terms of the years we had to spend to optimize and figure out what works in your market. I promise you, so there's no reason not to buy them. These templates are so good that we got people using them to start side businesses, lead selling businesses, everything else. So if you're interested in that, and just to see if we've gotten results in your market before, you can reach out. We've worked in 100 markets, by the way, before. We've worked in 100 plus markets before, and chances are we probably worked in your market already. So only one way to find out, you reach out to us at guaranteedppc.com. We'll let you know if we have and what results we've gotten in your market for specifically. As a last note, we are looking for volunteers that will let us work on your campaigns and show the results that we get on your campaigns on this channel to educate the public. We charge no fees, of which we normally charge thousands of dollars for our agency's fees to work with clients. So we would exchange our time, our efforts for completely for free if you would be willing to let us share what we're doing on your campaigns on this particular channel. If you're interested in that, you should reach out to us at Guaranteed PPC as well, and we can talk about working together on that particular kind of level. But with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my next video where we have another great strategy for you then. See you later.